Judge Drummond asked me to explain my slide rule collection. June 26, 2 p.m., Arapahoe County Courthouse. I described the 1952 Koffel and Esser model. My right hand tremored against the table. My voice stayed level. James Whitlock stood. Your Honor, I'd like to enter 47 hours of video evidence. The courtroom monitor displayed timestamp 6:42 a.m. Rebecca dissolving white tablets in my coffee. Then 9:33 p.m. Her celebrating with Derek, discussing estate liquidation. The color drained from her face. Don't just watch The Revenge. Join the channel by subscribing now. I'm 68 years old. My right hand shakes when I hold a coffee cup. The 1952 Koffel and Esser sits third from the left, top shelf. Mahogany laminate. Cursor font with the distinctive serif tail. I could identify it blindfolded. My study occupies what used to be the garage of this Littleton ranch house. Margaret and I bought it in 1982 for $89,000. Now it's worth $620,000, though I never cared about that. Custom-built mahogany cases line every wall, floor to ceiling. 203 slide rules. 41 leather notebooks line the shelves above my drafting table, one for each year I practiced architecture. The 2019 notebook sits open to my last commercial project. Restaurant renovation, load calculations for removing a bearing wall, Colorado Building Code citations in my precise lettering. I built my firm from nothing. 78, fresh out of University of Colorado with an architecture degree and $3,400 in savings. Rented a basement office in Capitol Hill, bought a used drafting table, started cold calling property developers. Worked 70-hour weeks through the 1980s when Denver was booming. Oil and gas money, DIA construction, commercial buildings going up across the Front Range. Rebecca was born in 1985. I have a photograph somewhere of me holding her in the hospital. Dark hair, no gray yet, calloused hands from construction sites. Still wearing work boots because I'd come straight from a foundation inspection. Margaret took that picture. She died in 2016, ovarian cancer. You missed her 8th birthday for a foundation inspection, Margaret told me once. She asked me why buildings were more important than her. I didn't have a good answer then. I still don't. But I paid for Rebecca's private school education. 12 years at Denver Academy. $280,000 total. Colorado State degree, no loans. $50,000 seed money, 2014. She never asked how many nights I worked until midnight. The $50,000 check cleared on a Friday. She called to say thank you. Never asked about the 3 months of 16-hour days that earned it. My Parkinson's diagnosis came in 2018. Tremors in my right hand, some balance issues, nothing that touched my mind. Dr. Okonkwo has 7 years of baseline cognitive assessments showing stable function. Mini mental state exam scores, 29, 30, 29, 28, 30, 29, 30. Perfect recall. I still write articles for the Journal of the Autrid Society about slide rule history. Still attend collector conventions in Kansas City and Portland. Still run calculations for friends who need garage additions or deck renovations. 40 years of index fund contributions, built $8.2 million. Fidelity statements going back to 1979, every quarterly report filed in chronological order. Municipal bonds, commercial real estate partnerships through careful research. James Whitlock reviews the quarterly reports as trustee. We were roommates at CU, stayed friends through 4 decades of my building wealth and his building a law practice. I drive a 2011 Honda Accord. 140,000 miles. Runs fine. Rebecca asked me once why I didn't buy something nicer. I told her the Accord gets me where I need to go. She drove a leased BMW X5, 847 monthly payment I covered. She didn't understand that money means security, not status. You earn it through work, save it through discipline, protect it from people who want to spend what they didn't build. Margaret understood, even when it cost her. She knew I was building something that would outlast us, a foundation. The same way I designed buildings to stand for 50 years, I structured our finances to provide for her after I was gone. She died anyway, worn out from carrying what I should have helped her carry. After she passed, I lived alone in this house for 7 years. The slide rules kept me company. I could lose myself in identifying a rare Pickett model or researching the manufacturing history of Dietzgen's circular rules. Precision and documentation, the habits that built my career. 7 years alone in this house. The slide rules kept me company, but they didn't ask about my day. Didn't play volleyball. Didn't need help with calculus homework. Rebecca invited me to move into her guest suite in March 2023. Said she worried about me living alone with Parkinson's. I was grateful. Stupid, but grateful. I wanted to know my granddaughter Megan, watch her play volleyball, help with her calculus homework. The guilt about Margaret made me vulnerable to the invitation. I thought I could make up for lost time. For 3 months, I thought I'd made the right choice. A building inspector taught me something in 1979. Load-bearing walls need solid footings. Everything else is just decoration. Rebecca wanted my legacy without understanding what built it. 40 years of showing up. Documenting everything. Trusting that precision outlasts manipulation. Last month, I identified a 1961 Pickett N600Es at a Portland convention. Recognized it by the cursor hairline thickness. 3 collectors had missed it. My hand shook when I held it. My mind didn't. Rebecca cleared $180,000, flipping 3 Boulder properties between 2014 and 2017. First property, $85,000 profit in 6 months. Second, $60,000 in 8 months. Third, $35,000 in 9 months. Declining margins she didn't notice. She called after closing the 3rd sale. I think I inherited your business sense, Dad. 3 Boulder properties between 2014 and 2017. She called after each closing, voice bright with numbers. I listened, made notes on the margins of my blueprints. The mixed-use development started in 2019. Retail space on the ground floor, 8 residential units above, prime location 3 blocks from Pearl Street. Rebecca showed me the renderings over coffee at her kitchen island. Glass and steel, modern lines, rooftop deck with mountain views. The anchor tenant is a boutique grocery chain, she said. Farm-to-table concept, very Boulder. They're signing a 10-year lease. I asked about environmental assessments. She waved the question away. The site was a dry cleaner in the 80s, but the Phase I environmental assessment showed no immediate contamination flags in the historical records. Phase I assessments review historical records. They don't test soil. I mentioned Phase II testing. She said her budget was tight, and the Phase I was sufficient for the lender. 6 months into construction, the boutique grocery backed out. Their corporate environmental consultant ordered additional testing. Soil contamination, perchloroethylene from the old dry cleaning operation, remediation estimate $200,000. Rebecca hadn't budgeted for environmental contingencies. The private investors who'd funded 60% of the project threatened to pull out unless she covered remediation personally. She took a home equity line for $150,000. Not enough. The project stalled. So contractors filed liens. The investors hired lawyers. I learned the details later, after everything unraveled. At the time, she told me the project had hit minor delays. Derek mentioned cash flow challenges once, then changed the subject when Rebecca shot him a look. She'd layered the debt like a bad foundation. $340,000 to 3 private investors expecting 18% returns. $180,000 across 4 business credit cards, interest rates climbing to 22% as she missed payments. $80,000 in personal loans from friends in her Ridgewood Estates circle, women who'd invested based on her earlier success and now stopped returning her calls. $600,000 total. 18 creditors, 0 assets to cover it. January 2023 deadline. Private investors set a January 2023 deadline. File suit or accept a settlement. Rebecca had no settlement to offer. Her real estate company showed $40,000 in assets against $600,000 in liabilities. Bankruptcy would destroy her reputation in the tight Denver development community. Asking me for a loan meant admitting failure and accepting repayment terms. She'd seen enough tax documents over the years to know the estate exceeded $8 million. She researched Colorado conservatorship procedures instead. I found the browser history later, cached files James Whitlock's investigator pulled from her laptop after the trial. Searches dated January 12, 2023. 6 weeks before she invited me to move into her guest suite. How to petition for conservatorship in Colorado. Does Parkinson's disease qualify for conservatorship? Can conservator access parents' estate before death? The invitation came March 1, 2023. She drove to Littleton, brought lunch from Chipotle, sat across from me at the kitchen table I'd built in 1985. Derek and I have been talking. We're worried about you living alone with the Parkinsons. The tremors are getting worse, right? My right hand shook holding the water glass. I set it down. The guest suite is just sitting empty, she continued. Megan would love having you closer. You could help her with calculus, watch her volleyball games. I'd been alone for 2 years since Margaret died. The house felt empty. My granddaughter was 16, college-bound, slipping away before I knew her. I'll think about it, I said. She touched my hand. Your family, Dad. You shouldn't be alone with the Parkinsons getting worse. I moved in March 15, 2023. Grateful. Stupid, but grateful. Derek's background made sense later. 12 years at Merck, pharmaceutical sales, $180,000 annually until 2018 downsizing. He built relationships with physicians across the Front Range. Expensive dinners at Flagstaff House, where he'd learned which doctors prescribed what, which pharmacy techs looked the other way, which relationships could be corrupted for the right price. Broncos tickets, golf outings at Cherry Hills. One contact was Brandon Kellerman, pharmacy technician at a Walgreens on Colorado Boulevard. Brandon could obtain controlled substances. Derek knew dosing protocols from sales training. Rebecca needed her father declared incompetent. I moved into Rebecca's guest suite March 15, 2021. East wing, 2nd floor. Private bathroom, sitting area, windows overlooking the cul-de-sac. New furniture, expensive bedding, thick curtains, framed photographs of Megan's volleyball team on the walls. Rebecca brought coffee at 7001 Teen every morning. Knocked twice, opened the door, smiled. Same routine. Lululemon leggings, designer pullover, hair pulled back in a ponytail. Morning, Dad. How'd you sleep? Fine. She set the mug on the nightstand. Drink it while it's hot. I added that almond milk you like. I didn't like almond milk. Never had. But I drank it anyway. 3 weeks in, the newspaper blurred. I blinked twice, 3 times. The words refused to sharpen. My right hand tremored worse than usual. By noon, the fog lifted. Afternoons, I could think clearly again. I'd researched the progression since 2018. Gradual decline, consistent patterns. Not this. Not fog that lifted by noon like clockwork. April 18, Rebecca scheduled an appointment with Dr. Morrison, neuropsychologist, 8:30 a.m. Just a routine evaluation, she said. Dr. Okonwo suggested it might be helpful to get a second opinion on cognitive function. Dr. Okonwo hadn't suggested anything. I'd seen her in January. Scored 30 on the mini mental state exam. Normal range. Dr. Morrison's office had fluorescent lighting and uncomfortable chairs. He asked me to count backward from 100 by sevens. Name as many animals as I could in 60 seconds. Draw a clock showing 11,010. The numbers scattered. 73, 56, 41. My hand shook too badly to hold the pencil. I sat there, wire-rimmed glasses reflecting the overhead lights, watching my mind refuse to work. 14, Dr. Morrison said, reviewing the scoring sheet. That indicates moderate cognitive impairment. Rebecca touched her collarbone. Is that dementia? The MOCA score suggests significant decline, yes. Combined with the Parkinson's diagnosis, we're likely seeing accelerated progression. She nodded, face arranged in concern. But her eyes were bright, alert, like she'd been waiting for this number. I noticed that. 2 days later, Elena Vasquez arrived. Certified home health aide, Rebecca explained. Just to help with daily tasks, medication management, making sure I was safe. Elena was professional. Scrubs, clipboard, kind but distant. Why, she documented everything. Times I seemed confused, instances where I needed help with basic tasks, moments Rebecca reported as concerning. But during bathroom breaks, when Rebecca wasn't monitoring, Elena's expression changed. She watched me move, heard me speak clearly, saw me remember details from conversations 3 days prior. She didn't say anything. Just made notes I couldn't see. May 12, Rebecca took me to Target. Supervised trip, she called it. Elena came along, pushing the cart while Rebecca selected items. We need bathroom supplies, Rebecca said. Grab whatever you think you need, Dad. I walked the aisles slowly, right hand shaking, picked up soap, toothpaste, shaving cream. In the electronics section, near the security camera display, I palmed 2 small boxes. SV's Mini O wireless. Motion activated, 1080p resolution. Rebecca didn't notice. Neither did Elena. That night, I installed the first camera in the smoke detector housing. Guest suite ceiling. Clear view of the nightstand where Rebecca set my coffee. The second went behind books on the shelf. I hid 2 more in the kitchen and living room while the house slept. Cloud storage. No local recording Rebecca could find. Upload triggered by motion. May 13, 6:42 a.m. First footage. Rebecca entering the guest suite, coffee mug in hand. She glanced at the door, then reached into her pocket. White tablets, 2 of them, dropped into the mug. Stirred with a spoon. Set the mug on the nightstand. Knocked twice. Opened the door. Smiled. Morning, Dad. How'd you sleep? May 15, 8:17 p.m. Derek in the kitchen, Rebecca showing him her phone. Calendar app. Appointment times highlighted. Derek leaned against the counter. Morrison's evaluation needs to happen 90 minutes after the morning dose. Peak blood concentration. That's when the cognitive effects are strongest. I scheduled it for 8,030, coffee at 7. Perfect. The benzodiazepines metabolize quickly, so afternoon lucidity won't contradict the assessment. Basic pharmacokinetics. Rebecca touched her collarbone. What if Elena notices he's sharper in the afternoons? She's documenting what you tell her to document. That's what you're paying her for. June 10th, 9:33 p.m., living room. Rebecca and Derek on the couch, wine glasses on the coffee table. Morrison signed the cognitive assessment, Rebecca said. 14 on the MOCA, moderate dementia range. Derek raised his glass. To estate liquidation timelines. So they clinked glasses, laughed. I watched the footage on my tablet, volume low, door locked. 47 hours total now. Every morning coffee delivery, every coaching session, every celebration, the footage played in perfect clarity. My right hand tremored against the tablet screen. June 5th, I called James Whitlock. I need your help, I said. I have evidence. I called James from the guest suite, door locked, voice low. 2 rings. I have evidence, I said. 47 hours of video. Silence. Then, don't say another word on this line. My office, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Bring everything. I'd spent 3 days transferring the video files to my tablet, the only concession to modern technology in 40 years of paper documentation. James Whitlock's law office occupied the 18th floor of a renovated building in Lodo. I arrived at 1:55 p.m. James met me at the door, white hair combed back, 3-piece charcoal suit with a gold pocket watch chain. He shook my hand, noticed the tremor, said nothing about it. Conference room. We sat at a massive oak table. I pulled out my tablet. James connected it to the wall monitor. Behind him, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Platte River. A fly-tying vise sat next to his laptop, half-finished pattern in the jaws. The first clip played. May 13, 6:42 a.m. Rebecca entering my guest suite, coffee mug in hand. She glanced at the door, reached into her pocket, dropped 2 white tablets into the mug. Stirred, set it on the nightstand, knocked twice, opened the door, smiled. James watched without speaking. I played the next clip. Derek in the kitchen, coaching Rebecca about timing the evaluation 90 minutes after dosing for peak blood concentration. Basic pharmacokinetics, Derek said on screen. James leaned forward. Keep going. I played June 2, 9:33 p.m. Rebecca and Derek on the couch, wine glasses raised. To estate liquidation timelines. Places. They clinked glasses, laughed. James sat back. His fingers drummed once against the table. This is criminal exploitation of an at-risk adult. Class 3 felony, 4 to 12 years. He paused. But we're not going to the police yet. Why not? Because she hasn't filed for conservatorship yet. Right now, this is attempted fraud. Once she files the petition, once she submits Dr. Morrison's fraudulent assessment to a judge, we have her on multiple counts. Forgery, conspiracy, perjury. He smiled. We're going to let her finish building the case against herself. My right hand shook against the tablet. I set it on the table. I need to call Sarah Okonkwo, James said. Your neurologist. We need medical documentation that contradicts Morrison's assessment. June 7, 8 a.m., Dr. Okonkwo met us at her office. Rocky Mountain Neurology Associates, 3rd floor of a glass building in the Denver Tech Center. She wore practical slacks and tortoiseshell glasses. Her handshake was firm. Show me the footage. We sat in her consultation room. She watched 3 clips without speaking. When Rebecca dropped the tablets into my coffee, Dr. Okonkwo's jaw tightened. My grandfather, she said quietly, in Lagos. His cousins convinced authorities he had dementia to steal his military pension. I was 12. I watched it happen. She opened my medical records on her computer. 7 years of baseline cognitive assessments. Many mental state exam scores, 29, 30, 29, 28, 30, 29, 30. 7 years of baseline assessments. Many mental scores between 28 and 30. Morrison's 14 is medically impossible without catastrophic trauma. Stroke, infection, major head injury. She looked at me. Which you didn't have. What do we need? James asked. Toxicology panels, blood work showing what she's been giving him. Dr. Okonkwo typed notes. I'll order comprehensive benzodiazepine screening through LabCorp's specialty division. Gas chromatography, mass spectrometry. We'll schedule it as a routine checkup so Rebecca doesn't know. I described the morning fog that lifted by noon, the timing pattern. Dr. Okonkwo nodded. Benzodiazepines. Short-acting, high potency. I'll order comprehensive screening through LabCorp's specialty division. The blood draw happened June 8th. Routine checkup, I told Rebecca when she asked. Dr. Okonkwo used 3 vials, labeled them herself, documented the chain of custody on forms I couldn't see. Results came back June 12. Dr. Okonkwo called James. He put her on speaker. Lorazepam, 4 nanograms per milliliter. Alprazolam, 2 nanograms per milliliter. Her voice was cold, neither prescribed by me. Neither indicated for Parkinson's. Both explain the reported confusion perfectly. James made notes on a legal pad. Can you testify to this? I'll do better than testify. I'm calling my lawyer, then I'm documenting every medical discrepancy in Stewart's file. This is elder abuse, and I'm a mandatory reporter. That afternoon, I sat across from James while he worked. The fly tying vise sat next to his laptop. He typed for 3 hours, occasionally pulling up legal precedents, cross-referencing trust language. At 5 p.m., he slid the document across his desk. Codicil to the Pemberton Family Trust, he said. Leaving Rebecca 60% of your estate instead of the current 50-50 split with her brother. Naming her primary trustee upon your death, read the language. Voice, it looked legitimate, proper witnessing requirements. My signature. This isn't real, I said. No, but she doesn't know that. James smiled. Note the clause on page 2. Executed while of sound mind and not under any undue influence. I saw it then. She'd prove she knew I was competent enough to execute valid legal documents while claiming I couldn't manage my own affairs. James smiled. Exactly. Leave it visible on your desk. Let the cameras catch her reaction. June 18. I left the fake codicil on my guest suite desk. Visible, but not obvious. Like I'd been reviewing it and forgotten to put it away. Rebecca found it at 3 p.m. The hidden camera captured everything. She picked up the document, scanned the first page. Her hand went to her collarbone. She pulled out her phone, dialed Derek. It's done. He actually amended the trust. 60% and trustee authority. Her voice rose. The conservatorship is just insurance now. The footage played in perfect clarity. My coffee had gone cold. I didn't touch it. James called at 8 p.m. She took the bait perfectly. Called Derek at 3007. Quote, he actually amended the trust. 60% and trustee authority. The conservatorship is just insurance now. End quote. Beautiful. Now we wait for her to file the petition. James called June 22nd, voice calm. Rebecca filed the petition this morning. Emergency hearing in 72 hours. I received the notice by certified mail. Read it twice. Set it on my desk next to the fake codicil. James called that evening. Hearing set for June 26, 2 p.m. Division E Judge Drummond? Yes. She's skeptical of adult children seeking parental control. Her father was exploited by a caregiver. He paused. The gallery will be full. Extended family. People who need to see this. June 26 arrived clear and warm. I dressed in my charcoal suit jacket, white shirt, navy tie. My right hand shook, fastening the buttons. My mind stayed sharp. Rebecca met me in the courthouse lobby. Navy dress, professional styling, Cartier watch catching the light. She touched my arm. This is just a formality, Dad. We're doing what's best for you. Guy nodded, said nothing. Division E occupied the second floor. Windowless courtroom, dark wood paneling, fluorescent lights. Judge Drummond's raised bench dominated the space. American flag and Colorado state flag flanked her position. The gallery held 20 observers. I recognized cousins I hadn't seen since Margaret's funeral, former colleagues from the firm, people James had quietly invited to witness this. Rebecca sat at the petitioner's table with her attorney. Derek behind her in the gallery, expensive business casual practice smile. I sat beside James at the defense table. My right hand trembled against the wood surface. Judge Drummond entered at 2 p.m. exactly. Black robes, silver gray hair, and a professional cut, expression neutral. The court reporter's fingers moved across the stenotype machine. Case number 2023 PR 1847. Petition for conservatorship. Miss Chen, proceed. Rebecca's attorney stood. Mid-40s, Brooks Brothers suit, confident posture. Your Honor, we seek emergency conservatorship for Stewart Pemberton based on documented cognitive decline. He passed documents to the clerk. Dr. Alan Morrison's neuropsychological evaluation showing a MIO-CA score of 14, indicating moderate dementia. Bah. The same fraudulent assessment Dr. Okonkwo had already debunked. Judge Drummond reviewed them without expression. We also have testimony from Alina Vasquez, certified home health aide, documenting Mr. Pemberton's confusion, memory loss, and inability to manage daily tasks. Elena took the stand. Scrubs, clipboard, uncomfortable posture. She described incidents Rebecca had reported. Moments of confusion, forgotten conversations, difficulty with basic decisions. Her voice lacked conviction. Rebecca's attorney presented medical records. Parkinson's diagnosis 2018, progressive symptoms. Dr. Morrison's assessment dated April 18. Judge Drummond looked at me. Wire-rimmed glasses, tremoring hand, upright posture. Mr. Pemberton, what did you have for breakfast this morning? Scrambled eggs, wheat toast, black coffee. No almond milk. Do you know today's date? June 26, 2023. Tuesday, 2 p.m. Tell me about something you know well. I met her eyes. My 1952 Kuffel and Esser slide rule. Third from the left, top shelf of my study. Mahogany laminate with distinctive cursor font, serif tail on the numerals. They manufactured this variant for 14 months before switching to aluminum frames. I used it to calculate load-bearing requirements for a friend's garage renovation last month. Colorado Building Code Section R502.1 floor joist spacing. Judge Drummond's expression shifted. Not neutral anymore. Focused. James stood. Three-piece suit, gold pocket watch chain, theatrical precision. Your Honor, Exhibits A through G 47 hours of video documentation. The courtroom monitor activated. Timestamp 6:42 a.m., May 13, 2023. Rebecca entering my guest suite, white Lululemon pullover, hair in ponytail. Coffee mug in her right hand. She glanced at the door. Reached into her left pocket. White tablets dropping into the mug. Stirring. Setting it on the nightstand. Knocking twice. Opening the door. Glass. Smiling. No one moved. Rebecca's hand went to her collarbone. Her lips parted. No sound came out. Next clip. Timestamp 8:17 p.m., May 15. Derek in the kitchen, Rebecca showing her phone. Derek's voice from the speakers, timestamp visible in the corner. Morrison's evaluation needs to happen 90 minutes after the morning dose. Eek blood concentration, sick pharmacokinetics. Rebecca nodding, her hand touching the phone screen. Third clip, timestamp 9:33 p.m., June 2, Rebecca and Derek on the couch, wine glasses raised. Rebecca's voice. Morrison signed the assessment. 14 on the MOCA. The conservatorship is just insurance now. They clinked glasses. Laughed? Judge Drummond leaned forward. Reconcile that contradiction for me, Mrs. Chen. You're celebrating a trust amendment that favors you while simultaneously claiming your father lacks capacity to manage his affairs. Rebecca's mouth opened. No sound came out. Her attorney leaned close, lips barely moving. Rebecca shook her head once, twice, hand still at her collarbone. Derek's expression didn't change, but his hand gripped the armrest, knuckles white. Elena stared at the monitor. Judge Drummond's voice hardened. Petition denied. I'm initiating immediate criminal referral to the Arapahoe County District Attorney's Elder Abuse Unit. The Pemberton estate is frozen pending investigation. Miss Chen, you have 24 hours to vacate your father's residence. The gavel struck once. Criminal referral. The words I'd been waiting to hear. My right hand trembled against the table. My voice stayed level. Thank you, Your Honor. I returned to my Littleton home that evening. The study smelled like dust and old paper. 203 slide rules in their mahogany cases. 41 project notebooks on the shelves. Everything exactly where I'd left it 14 months ago. June 27, 8 a.m., James Whitlock called. Dr. Okongwo submitted her toxicology reports to the DA's office. Lorazepam, 4 nanograms per milliliter. Alprazolam, 2 nanograms. 7 years of baseline cognitive assessments showing stable function. I made coffee, black. No almond milk. The Colorado Prescription Drug Monitoring Program flagged Brandon Kellerman's records, James continued. The lot numbers on your supposed prescriptions correspond to medications distributed to Arizona pharmacies, not Colorado facilities. Amateur mistake, the kind professionals catch immediately. Brandon's cooperating? Signed the agreement this morning. He's providing Derek's text messages, documentation of the Broncos tickets and dinners. 8 years of cultivation. I sat at my drafting table. Dust had settled on the 2019 notebook. 102 days since I'd left this room. The load calculations waited, precise lettering unchanged. The district attorney filed formal charges June 30. 2 weeks later, Rebecca accepted the plea July 15. Rebecca Pemberton Chen, criminal exploitation of at-risk adult, Class 3 felony under CRS 186.523, 4 to 12 years. Conspiracy to commit theft, Class 4 felony, 2 to 6 years. Forgery conspiracy, Class 5 felony, 1 to 3 years. James called again at 3 p.m. The DA offered a plea. 18-month suspended sentence, 5 years probation, mandatory restitution, cooperation against Derek. She'll take it? Judge Drummond's findings make trial convictions certain. Her attorney knows that. Rebecca appeared at the courthouse in a conservative navy suit, hair pulled back, no jewelry except her wedding ring. Her attorney read a prepared statement. Rebecca said nothing. The office on Pearl Street sat empty. For lease sign in the window. Her business cards scattered across the reception desk. Pemberton Properties, LLC, officially dissolved August 1. The private investors filed civil judgments totaling $340,000. Her Ridgewood Estates home entered foreclosure proceedings August 18. I drove past once. For sale sign in the yard. Moving truck in the driveway. Derek's federal trial began October 12. Brandon Kellerman took the stand on day 2, testified for 4 hours. Described the text messages requesting favors, the Broncos season tickets Derek provided from 2012 through 2023, the expensive dinners at Flagstaff House. The falsified prescription records with their Arizona lot numbers. The jury deliberated 90 minutes. Guilty on all counts. Pharmaceutical fraud, conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, falsification of medical records. 30 months federal prison. Marshals cuffed Derek's wrists behind his back, led him through the side door. His practiced smile finally gone. Megan Chen moved in with her maternal aunt September 1, temporary custody arrangement, while Rebecca served probation. I drove past the volleyball courts twice that month. Never stopped. Didn't know what I'd say. Elena Vasquez testified at Derek's sentencing hearing. Described the discrepancies between my actual lucidity and Rebecca's reported symptoms. Judge Drummond's written opinion noted her professional integrity in refusing to falsify documentation. I donated the 1961 Pickett N600Es to the University of Colorado Engineering Library, the one I'd identified at the Portland Convention. My right hand tremored against the coffee mug. November morning, cold enough to see my breath in the study. The newspaper sat folded on my desk. Small article, page 7. Rebecca's real estate license suspended pending ethics review. Everything she'd built, gone. Business dissolved, home foreclosed, reputation destroyed, 5 years of probation ahead. The benzodiazepines metabolized within 48 hours. The evidence lasted forever. I finished my coffee and opened the 2019 notebook. The restaurant renovation calculations waited. Load-bearing requirements. Colorado Building Code Section R502, 3.1, 1.3. I picked up my pencil. My hand tremored against the page. The numbers came out clean. If you felt something, hit like and tell me about it below. 9 months after the courthouse, I sold the Littleton house. Couldn't live surrounded by memories of Margaret's kitchen table conversations and Rebecca's guest suite betrayal. The realtor listed it March 15, closed April 3, $687,000. I moved to a smaller condo near Dr. Okonkwo's practice. 10th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows facing the front range. 2 bedrooms, 1 for sleeping, 1 for the drafting table. The slide rules went to University of Colorado's Engineering Library. 203 instruments in custom mahogany cases, brass plaque reading Margaret Pemberton Memorial Collection, 1948-20116. $200,000 fund for maintenance and educational programming. Last month, a student used the 1952 Koffel and Esser to calculate beam deflection. Took her 12 minutes. Her phone would have done it in 3 seconds, but she understood why the answer was right. My son's boy visits monthly. 16 now, asks why rebar spacing matters, how to calculate shear loads when concrete needs expansion joints. We tour construction sites downtown, and I explain what I should have explained to Rebecca. How buildings stand or fall based on solid foundations. How shortcuts collapse under weight. James and I fish the Frying Pan River now. Started last spring. He ties flies while I watch the water. We don't talk much, don't need to. I stand at legal conferences and walk attorneys through the 47 hours of footage. Show them the timestamps. Explain how toxicology reports work. Last month, I showed a widow in Colorado Springs how her husband's phone records proved his business partner had been planning the buyout for 18 months. Why? She had the evidence, just didn't know what she was looking at. At one conference, an attorney asked what I'd learned from all this. I thought about Margaret's words before I answered. Margaret used to say, "I loved buildings more than people." Well, maybe she was right. But buildings taught me foundations matter. You cannot construct anything lasting on dishonest ground. Rebecca wanted my legacy without understanding what built it. 40 years of showing up, documenting everything, trusting that precision outlasts manipulation. My hand shook, my mind didn't. She miscalculated which mattered more,